Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a really interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Kizer Hawk, designed by Carlos Elsner. Admittedly, I'm not familiar with Mr. Elsner, but I wanted to make sure that you guys knew. So, I looked at this and realized this is an S45VN. So I thought, okay, so Kizer's climbing up into maybe a higher price point. If you don't know, Kizer does a really good job of keeping their prices reasonable, even when they're working with premium materials, but S45VN tends to cost more than S35VN. So I expected to see 200 plus. And I was really happy to find out that the combination of titanium, contoured and textured titanium, S45VN, cool accents, milled clip, all this stuff, 169 bucks. We'll get back to that. So I thought, okay, listen, like something's got to be wrong here. Did they like not heat treat the S45VN properly? 60 to 62 HRZ. So right off the bat, I was like, wow. That's pretty cool. Maybe the design will be wonky. It looks kind of crazy, you know, so I'll carry it and use it. And I'm really happy to report that I very much enjoyed this. It is a wild aesthetic, but Kizer is proving that they can move forward and still be fun and wild and work with people who have a little bit. It's not like the craziest thing in the world, but it's definitely like an unorthodox design. They can do fun stuff like this and still provide premium materials and create something that works organically. So I actually really enjoyed this. Thanks so much to Kizer for sending this knife in. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. I will link this knife down in the description. You guys can check it out if you want to. It helps my channel when you use those links, but that's up to you. Okay, let's get through specs quick. I don't want to say that I'm going to do that, then I don't. I start talking about dogs and cabbage or whatever, but today we're just going to talk about the knife. Overall length is coming in at 7.85 inches, not quite 8 inches. Blade length is, yeah, I mean, you could measure this at 3.65 inches for the blade length and all of 3.5 for the cutting edge. Let's do some size comparisons. Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and Others up against the 80-10 and the 80-20.5. It's almost as tall, I guess, as something like the 80-10, not quite as long or robust. Let's, put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. These monsters have a lot of carbonation in them. It is definitely taller. It's certainly taller in blade, and there's way more cutting edge than both the PM2 and the Para 3. Lengthwise, very close to the PM2, much larger than the Para 3. And then finally, let's put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. How's the action on this knife? This is a steel liner lock, which is part of how they cut the cost, but still very impressive. You don't need a titanium lock bar. No double clutch, beautiful dual layer bearings, or dual row bearing, not dual layer, that doesn't make any sense. Dual layer, dual row bearings, which is, it's becoming more common, but you do notice it here, right? Definitely. The other thing to note is that it's so close to double clutch. Technically not. It's one of those situations where you'll have to adjust instead of disengaging right at the top there. You can see right here, it's not over the hill yet. Right there, it's on the hill and then down. So not double clutch, you just have to disengage a little lower. Flipper tab, sorry, that was a goof on my part. Flipper tab's actually great. Nice and round. I like flipper tabs like this because you definitely are deciding whether or not you want to push button it or light switch it, right? You can light switch it, feels great. You can go ahead and give it a little push button there. Also feels great. How about reverse flick? Excellent, because of this big open sort of, sorry, I bumped the camera there. I'm not sure what shape this is. It's like a very smooth mustache, but it's like Tri-State's beautiful, smooth mustache, right? Anybody who's looked as closely as I have at Tri-State's mustache knows the buttery edges. It's a very distinct element of his mustache is having a well-groomed and very, you know what? I'm revealing way too much here. I don't know what shape this is, but it works really well for getting your finger in there and deploying the... All right, the action's great. The detent feels great. and everything is just excellent. So really, really neat. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. Yeah, it's very similar. This is also subtly contoured, which is definitely worth pointing out and does add cost versus a flat frame. So very cool there. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. This does carry slightly noticeably tall. For me, somebody who likes to carry a larger knife, I was aware that I was carrying a slightly larger, taller object in the pocket. Not anything crazy. Lengthwise, it's not quite as long as the PM2. It's definitely longer and taller than the Para 3. If you're not used to carrying knives that are a little bit larger, you're definitely going to notice this. But I feel like a lot of people are just not really going to care. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. The pivot is a T8. No visible hardware on this side, which is really, really cool. It's a nice, classy touch there by the designer. I have a little bit of debris there, something I rubbed up against while I was carrying it there. But we have T8 for the body screws there and T8 for the pocket clip. But a really nice touch to not have any visible screws. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you're good to go. Let's go ahead and measure the blade stock thickness here. This pretty slicey S45VN blade. We're coming, I'm going to guess 125 to 135. No, even thinner. 117 thousandths. Nice. Let's go ahead and weigh it. Materials, titanium, a little bit of copper here, accents. Beautiful. Somehow managed to not patina it yet. I feel like maybe my hands just aren't really directly on these pieces all the time. These will, like, it's gonna patina eventually. The weight on this guy with the steel lock, we're coming in at 4.8 ounces. Unsurprising, completely and totally unsurprising there. Not perfect ratios. The balance though, oh, my voice cracked. The balance though, right behind the pivot with all that steel up there in the blade. All right, let's move into the meat and potatoes. This is a wild looking knife. We kind of have that sheep's footy kind of thing going on. We have actually a fairly classic handle profile, but there's a big copper pivot collar, which I think looks nice. Not everybody's going to like it, but this is going to be the controversial part, is the holes. People got really upset about holes. Some people are like, I love holes, and the people on the other side, like this civil war, so to speak, of holes. You got the other side, well, we hate holes, and everyone's like, wah, you know. So you either like them or you don't like them. They're there. I personally am like, you know, if I can't, if I could choose not to have them, I won't have them. But I won't like refuse to carry. That's pretty dramatic. I won't like refuse to carry it. You have like these varying sizes of bowls, right? They kind of change in the shape. It's interesting. I've never seen that. Usually they're consistent, but it's kind of a nice little design. The knife would have looked a lot less interesting without them. Love them or hate them. They're adding a lot of character. And then you have some texturing going on there, the diagonal lines over the contouring. So it adds a lot. It definitely feels like a lot more effort. It feels like a very designy knife. And if you guys aren't aware, anybody who's not aware, right, I feel like most of you are, I am a design reviewer. It's not hard to pick out something that's utilitarian. Anybody can do that. What I look for are things that are distinct or interesting, and especially when they're a good value, and you can get something like that for a good value. And if it works, right, if you can get all of those things together in a nice, neat little package, and you can tie it off with a bow that says, by the way, it's not horribly expensive versus the competition. That's what I'm looking for, right? And I'm happy to say that this is that, right? Might not be to everybody's aesthetic taste, but it does work ergonomically. It's very comfortable. The pocket clip does not create a hotspot. It does not create a hotspot, right? Jimping, functional, close to not functional, but it is functional. The blade works really well. Very slicey. You can get your finger up here, do some draw cuts. I do like it when the nose is pointed down. I use a blade, for a lot more draw cuts. Then, I feel like I do that often enough that I appreciate this type of blade. Aesthetically, it is not the most beautiful thing, not by most people's definition. It's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but it is interesting, it's different, and it does work. It's comfortable too. I like it. Flipper tab doesn't dig into my hands or anything like that. No lefting mounting position for the pocket clip, which is a bummer. Left-handed people, sorry about that. It says Kizer on this side, and then we have the designer information over here. And probably somewhere it says S45VN, but I'm just not willing to dig on it. We have what they call a bubble stonewash, which I guess is just like a finer stonewash. Okay, cool. It does look good. I like that. Whether it comes in multiple variations, I'm honestly not sure. This is the only variation I could find, but I like the combination of the big fat pivot collar here on both sides, and especially the copper, like the big thick copper backspacer. It looks really, really cool. Really nice there. They've widened it out, machined little areas on either side of the frame so that the backspacer can appear wider. That's a nice touch. Big lanyard loop thing, hole, not a loop, a hole. The pocket clip, I don't like these clips that go down and they squish the bill this way because it makes it a little bit mashy to get it into your pocket. So I was having to fight it a little bit. Carry depth is fine, but yeah, I wish the pocket clip would just straight and more of a ramp, a little higher on the bill, but it does make it really comfortable to use, right? Because that pocket clip is just absolutely a zero hotspot. An interesting thing about this knife is it has 2 stop pins. As far as I can tell, it really does contact both in the open position and only one in the closed position. So see how it's not actually contacting this one. It's only the inner one, but you can see those 2 there. Why? Well, Kizer lists it as assisting with lockup solidity. Okay. I tried to break that down in my head. I'm not sure how. Like if you're chopping, because I mean the stop pin affects the blade this way, right? So does it do anything additionally left or right? I mean, it's another point of contact, so kind of, but you could have put stops on either side of the blade and have them contact the frame on both sides if you're just trying to accomplish 2 points of contact. This is weird. It's not hurting anything. I don't know that I've seen that. I have seen 2 vertical points of contact, I guess. I'm not convinced that it adds anything. It's just there. So that was weird. But okay, that's fine. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, you could tell me if you know, right? I'm a professional of nothing. I don't have a degree in anything. I'm just a guy who talks about knives through a rectangle, right? You guys just listen to me. If somebody knows exactly how that would specifically, augment this knife in a way that increases its integrity, its lockup integrity, right? Please explain. I don't know. I barely understand why putting a stop left and right to contact the frame would assist with lockup solidity, right? But don't let that make you think that this is baton ready, right? It's not like baton mode engaged. No, it's 2 stop pins. So I don't know. That's fine. It's not hurting anything, so who cares? No lock stick. It is solid. I mean, I'll give it that. It's very solid. No lock stick, no pivot lash. Incredibly smooth. Kizer, the bearings on this are amazing. Holy moly. Really nice. Maybe they've been using these for a while. I don't know. I just really noticed it in this. Probably because the blade's so heavy. So the combination of those 2 things, the action is beautiful. Yeah, really nice. Love it. Gosh, that's so close to double clutch. We got to get that. We got to normalize like the detent ball position that does not create double clutch no matter where you are disengaged. I know that's so nitpicky, but if I want to disengage it up here, then make the detent ball be in a place that doesn't give me that double clutch at that high. All you have to do is adjust and go down lower and it's fine. But we got to get that. It's 2024. Sorry, I'm nitpicking something. It doesn't need to be nitpicked. Centering. Look at that. Spot on. Has stayed that way. No detent lash. $169. It's weird looking, but wow. Kizer. Can you guys really afford to do stuff like this? I mean, man, they are easily $40 ahead, $30 ahead of their most fierce competition. Yeah, you can get titanium and S90V in very simple forms from companies like Artisan Cutlery for a little more, but man, S45VN contour tie texture with a copper, with the full backspacer, the milled titanium. It's really nice. It's beautifully executed. This is like Kizer remains to be the top tier Chinese knife company under two, like specifically between like 130 and 190. Like they absolutely dominate that territory. And this knife is proof of that. I was like, this is Kizer's. They're like, all right, we can't do this anymore. We're gonna have to start charging over $200 for our stuff. But hey, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna try to bring you a little more sauce. And to my surprise, no, $170. Do I recommend this? Oh my God, yes. This is an amazing knife. It doesn't seem that, it's not going to seem horrifically special like looking at it, but handling it, experiencing it, especially when you look at the price tag, right? A lot of people are just going to be like, it's just too weird looking for me. And that's an aesthetic thing. But as far as what they built here, it's a great tool. It's got great materials. The S45VN is obviously heat treated properly. It's 60 to 62. Yeah, I can go a little higher, but 60 to 62 is great. S45VN is an awesome blade steel. It has great edge retention, good toughness, right? It's actually made for pocket knives, and the corrosion resistance is almost as good as M390. So it's a really, really excellent steel. So Kizer's doing a good job with that. But everything combined, I'm really shocked that they got it down to $170. This is a great pocket knife. Highly recommendable. I'm going to put it in my most recommended knives playlist, but it's obviously not going to be for everybody, mainly due to the aesthetic and the fact that it's a right-handed frame lock with a pocket clip that is for right-handed people. So, but nice work to the designer. Nice work, Kizer, on your execution. I expect to see this. I expect to see the same levels of execution throughout 2025. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.